Proverbs chapter 30, verse 21. We're going to make some headway today. I believe in it. For 3 things the earth is perturbed. Yes, for 4 it cannot bear up. For a servant when he reigns, a fool when he's filled with food, a hateful woman when she is married, and a maidservant who succeeds her mistress. So, again, it's talking. That's that poetic device we've been seeing again and again. This idea of, here's 3 things, but the 4th, that's the real one, and it's just talking about a servant when he reigns, so a servant who becomes a ruler, a slave, really. A fool when he's filled with food, and just the idea that fools should get what's coming to them. A hateful woman when she's married. Just this idea like, wow, shocked that she got a husband. But it says a maidservant who succeeds her mistress. And now the idea here is actually of, and it's saying this is something that the earth is perturbed by, it's bothered by. And the idea is that a man would then leave his wife to marry her maidservant. And so just saying that's a wickedness. It's just an evil thing. And we see that all the time, when people want to upgrade their spouse. On the subject of divorce and remarriage, what we find with Jesus in the New Testament, and what seems to be the better, I don't know, feels a little arrogant, smug, I don't know. But just the better understanding, but I truly think this is the better understanding. When it talks about divorce and remarriage, the issue with sin in divorce and remarriage doesn't have to do so much with the idea that you can never get remarried once you're divorced. The Bible doesn't seem to say that. Now there are I'll say this, the Bible does seem to say that in places, but it has to be kept in context. It has to be kept in context. And you have to read all of the scriptures on marriage in order to understand that. But I bring this up because I think what's in our proverb here is a clear description of what the Bible does prohibit, which is this idea of trading in one spouse for another. And so here, and this is again the idea of if you marry someone who's divorced, you commit adultery. Well, yeah, in a certain context. And we find that context here in Proverbs 30. And the idea is that if you divorce your spouse to marry another person, you see there the emphasis. Not I got divorced and then down the road I got remarried. But absolutely, if you divorce your spouse to get remarried, you've already got your eyes set on number 2. Jesus says, no, it doesn't matter if you filled out the paperwork. You're committing adultery. And that person who's marrying you, they're committing adultery too. But I never even slept with someone who was married. I waited and then I married the person. Right, but they got divorced to marry you. So you're committing adultery. So that's the idea here when he talks about a maidservant who succeeds her mistress. Is this wickedness of someone, coming in and they're trading off one spouse for another, even if they go through the right steps. That's wicked and wrong. To get divorced so you can marry someone else. Verse 24, there are 4 things which are little on the earth, but they are exceedingly wise. The ants are a people not strong, yet they prepare their food in the summer. So it's talking about these little ants. They know to store up food. There's a wisdom there in these little guys. The rock badger, the hyrax, are feeble folk, yet they make their homes in the crags. I've got some pictures of these guys in En-Gedi. And it's just talking about how these little insignificant creatures, but how they can make their homes in these rocky, hilly regions, kind of like the Edomites. Is that the idea is that they build their homes in these very highly defensible areas. And the locusts have no king, yet they all advance in ranks. And so again here, that nothing's controlling the locusts, making them stay together, and yet they seem to move about in an organized fashion. The spider skillfully grasps with its hands, and it is in kings' palaces. And so it's just talking about the spider that finds its way even into the palace. So this little creature, but it finds itself making its home even in the most grandest of places. And so it's just talking about the wisdom of these things, how the spider makes its way there, how the rock badger does this. And so it's just kind of an observation, not a deep moral truth, but stuff there to consider. There are 3 things which are majestic in pace, 4 which are stately in walk. The lion, which is mighty among the beasts and does not turn away from any, a greyhound, a male goat also, and a king whose troops are with him. And so obviously the lion walks with power and strength and right? And it's funny because my Bible even actually says perhaps this means a strutting rooster. It's funny how some of these ancient Hebrew words, they have a hard time translating. But, you got another animal, and then the male goat. And again, the goat, just the way they climb trees, they climb hills, they climb walls. There's something amazing about how they walk. But a king whose troops are with him. And I think the idea here is simply the idea that, that when everyone's unified, there's something beautiful, there's something majestic. It says majestic in pace. And so again, when the troops are with the king, there's something great there. If you put your hand on your mouth. For as the churning of milk produces butter, and the wringing of the nose produces blood, so the forcing of wrath produces strife. So, in short, you wring a nose, then blood comes out. You churn up the milk enough, you get butter. And then you know what? If you run your mouth, you're going to make strife. So watch your mouth. Proverbs 31 is kind of a unique proverb. I mean, especially 10 to the end, the Proverbs 31 woman, the virtuous woman. But in some ways, if you ended the book of Proverbs here in chapter 30, which it doesn't, but I think maybe you catch what I'm saying, that the little short one-off Proverbs, they all kind of end right here. And it ends on the thought of watch your mouth. And that's been said throughout the Proverbs. But again, watch your mouth. And how important it is for us to watch our mouth. Because our mouth's going to write checks that our bodies can't cash. Our mouth is getting us bigger trouble than our body ever could. Watch your mouth. Be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. For the wrath of man does not produce the righteousness of God. So try and be good at listening, especially married folk. All the more so, we should be good at listening before we do the talking. All right, that's all. We finished the chapter. Seems like a good ending spot for today. So God bless you guys, and I will see you guys on Monday.